Hi Andy, great to see you again today. Good session, super change to your ball flight towards the end, and I'll email you the data from Flight Scope across a little bit later. Just to recap on the two changes that we wanted to make. First of all, we want to try and get the takeaway where the club stays out in front of the hands a little bit more in the early part of the takeaway. We can see here as we take the club back, the club head starts to roll inside very quickly. And at this point, as the hands are reaching waist level, the club head is way behind us, setting very flat. And the only way we're now going to get it to the top of the backswing is by lifting the arms. What we're trying to do is get a feeling here on the right that the club points at the target or at the ball for longer during the takeaway. And the relationship we'd ideally want at this waist level position is for the club head to be much more in line with the hands, if anything slightly in front, like we saw with Charlie Wee and Greg Norman when we were doing the comparisons during your lesson. Having said that, that's a much better position than what we were in at the start of the session. You can see here, at the same rate, your club has been rolled behind you. So neither one of those positions is correct, but we're certainly moving in the right direction at this stage in your swing due to that different feeling on the way back. If we look at how that affects the top of your backswing, we can see here on the left hand side it's quite long, the arms are much more upright than the shoulders. Whereas on this right hand side, because we've took the club back in a better manner, at the top of the backswing we're not quite as long, we're much more stable in the wrists, and the arm swing is a little bit more in sympathy with the shoulder turn. Now on the way through, what we worked on was trying to make sure that we didn't release the club. We want to be nice and passive with the hands. Rather than releasing the club and rotating the club a lot as we come through impact, which is producing a very random swing path as it approaches the ball and a very random club face angle at impact. What we want to do is be much quieter with the hands through the hitting area. So one of the drills we gave you was to try and swing through to chest height, keeping the arms nice and straight. This encourages much quieter hands. Key thought for you here is no release, much more stable club face, because it hasn't rotated quite as much on the way back. It doesn't need to re-rotate as much on the way through. And if we continue both swings through to the finish, you'll see a telltale sign here of someone who's releasing it a lot. You see the club head very low in comparison to the hands, and then what we see here on the right is a telltale sign of a guy who has quietened his arm rotation and his hand action down, and we see a finish where the club head is actually a little bit now higher than the hands. So a big change there during your through swing. At the end of the day, the follow through is the result of all your movements. So if that follow through has changed dramatically, you must have made changes during the actual movement of your golf swing. So between now and next time we get together, try and work on keeping the club head in front of your hands during the takeaway. Do that by trying to keep the club face pointing at your target line or pointing at your ball for longer, and try and work on keeping the hands very, very quiet. We don't want any release of the golf club. Good luck with it, and speak to you again in a few weeks' time. Well done.